It is time to commit one of the biggest sins in Sonic the Hedgehog, which is playing a Boost Sonic game without using the boost button, or in this case, a Shadow game without using the boost button, Chaos Spear button, or Chaos Control when I can help it, because there's some places where you gotta use it. This challenge is actually something I did way back in the day in 2011 when Sonic Generations came out, the original, because in that game there are two play styles. There's Boost Sonic from Sonic Unleashed, and there is Classic Sonic based on the Genesis games. But I grew up with Sonic Adventure 2, and the Boost gameplay, while I do like it, it is fundamentally different to the adventure style gameplay in a similar way to 2D Sonic being fundamentally different in a lot of ways to 3D Sonic, unless we're, comparing the Rush titles or Colors DS, which is a game that I actually recently played for the first time last year, and it's honestly one of my favorite Sonic games. I think it's my favorite 2D Sonic game. But regardless, I played a lot of Sonic Generations as a teenager without using the boost. And it was actually pretty fun because there are those custom abilities that you can put on Sonic that tweaks him, and you can tweak him in such a way where, he moves a little bit faster without the boost. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, considering how much customization there was to insane extent in Sonic Frontiers, the game before this, and the game that kind of was used to lay the groundwork for a lot of the stuff in this game, had way too much customization to the point where it was just like, what the heck? So having it limited is probably better than them going all out with the customization. I kind of do wish they did, though. I have a whole video talking about what they could have done to expand the customization. Oh my god, Shadow is actually so slow without the boost. Like, insanely slow. I might not use the Stomp either if I can help it. Just trying to play this in the most, way that I guess Aaron Hansen from Game Grumps would, where you kind of interact with the mechanics that make the game fun to the least extent possible. But I still find some fun in it. I love playing games in weird ways, as you've seen on this channel if you've been subscribed and saw my Pikmin 4 video where I played through the entire game using pretty much no Pikmin, or as little Pikmin as I could. That was a really fun and interesting challenge, and while this one is not going to be nearly as complex, because not using the boost in a Sonic game doesn't hinder you too much, in comparison to not using Pikmin in Pikmin, this is probably going to go a lot smoother, and honestly going to be pretty interesting, because we're going to see parts of the level that maybe you guys haven't seen too much, especially if you're like online a lot with Sonic and you like speedrunning the game. We kind of all just tunnel vision into a general kind of fastest path that we all kind of go on, unless we're speedrunners and we do glitches or whatever. So maybe we'll find some cool new pathways that a more hardcore Sonic fan wouldn't end up seeing as often, or maybe ever. This is actually kind of a feeling I got when I was doing that challenge for Pikmin 4, where I had to wait around a lot and play the game at a much slower pace due to the restrictions I put on myself, and I was able to enjoy the game in a way that maybe someone less experienced with the franchise would, like maybe get a kind of pseudo perspective on what playing the game for the first time would be like, where you wouldn't know all of the best mechanics or whatever, except in this case I'm purposely restricting myself. It helps me, in a way, understand some of the design decisions that maybe some of us hardcore players wouldn't really be too privy to, but is important for, new video game players. Because there are still people who haven't played much video games, haven't played video games at all. This might be their first video game, maybe even as a kid, like, you watch Sonic Movie 3 for the first time, and you want to get into gaming, and this is the first game you pick up. You gotta have it be beatable and playable for people who don't want to, spam Chaos Control, or maybe even for someone who isn't intelligent enough to hold down the boost button, like Aaron Hansen, or a kid who might be playing Sonic for the first time. I know I'm shitting a lot on Game Grumps. I actually love their playthroughs because I get to see that perspective of someone who isn't really paying attention and more focusing on their commentary. And it kind of gives me a perspective of how maybe someone less experienced with games would play a game, or someone who isn't fully paying attention, and how, the game is to them. And Sonic is a franchise where you gotta know the games very well to have fun with them, right? Like, the average person is not gonna have a great time with Sonic 06, but if you know all of the weird quirks to it, like how with Silver there's the glitch where you can like spam the hover button to go further, or like, you know, maybe in Sonic Unleashed you know to do like a specific trick with the werehog to like get to different platforms and stuff, but the casual player isn't going to be doing that stuff, so it makes Sonic games kind of not as fun for them. That's kind of the reason why I think Mario has been a more popular platforming franchise in comparison to Sonic over the years, is because of a lot of the 3D games aren't as general audience friendly as they could be. And now we're getting into the Act 2 levels, which will probably have a bigger impact on not using boost, because you're going in a linear line. They intend for you to boost. You can't just like walk around an enemy. Now we are going to have to continuously homing attack chain enemies that probably should be boosted through. Another thing about the enemies in this game, dude, they don't attack you. Or I guess they do, but imagine legitimately getting hit by this. Like, this is so slow. What are they even doing? Who made these robots? What are their purpose? What a waste of resources, am I right? But I appreciate these levels in Shadow Generation so much, and I'm so glad that despite like putting more of an emphasis on 3D in the Act 1s and not adding any more 2D sections, which I like, they didn't completely abandon it, because I do think that the boost formula has a lot of potential in 2D. I mean, it debuted in 2D with Sonic Rush. As I said earlier, Sonic Colors DS, my favorite 2D Sonic game, and I do think there's a lot of potential, and the fact that people liked the Act 2s in this game, maybe not as much as the Act 1s, but I did hear a lot of reviewers say like, hey, as good as Act 1 in Kingdom Valley is, I kind of like Act 2 a bit more, or even on par, which is really cool to hear after, you know, a lot of people haven't been the biggest fans of 2D Sonic in modern games, including me. Like, I think it's great in Sonic Unleashed, the way they do the 2D sections in there and the way the camera works. Honestly, kind of doesn't make it feel as much like a 2D section. I don't want modern 2D Sonic to feel like classic Sonic. They are two fundamentally different styles of gameplay that are both fun in their own unique ways that I don't think can necessarily overlap, although I kind of felt that way about the adventure formula and the boost formula as well. But with Shadow Generations, especially playing with this without the boost, this is a pretty decent mix of adventure gameplay and level design and the boost formula, so maybe there's a way to do 2D Sonic that's more similar to the classics, but also has cool things like the homing attack and boost. I mean, anything's possible in game design, I suppose. It's just, you know, limited by creativity and technology, which, you know, I think technology's at a point where most people can create the games they kind of want to, unless it's, I don't know, a recreation of the entire world. Dude, imagine an open world game that is an exact replica of Earth. Or maybe Earth even in a certain time frame, you know? Like, you take all of the, you know, historical videos of, let's say, I don't know, 1950 America, and then you just make an entire map that's just all of the US in the 1950s. That would be a crazy project. That'd take decades to make. Someone has had to start on that. Like, one day there's going to be a story that comes out where it's like, this game has been in development for 30 years, and it's like an open world replica of the Earth. I mean, we already kind of have a miniature version of that in, you know, GTA 5 and the GTA games in general. So, you know, why not do the whole world? Anyway, maybe we'll get to that point. But besides that, I feel like we can do anything in games. So I wouldn't be surprised if there were, you know, a really well-made kind of concept, either made by a Sonic fan or maybe even Sonic teams themselves, where they kind of mix like a boost gameplay with like a physics-based kind of 2D classic Sonic gameplay in a way that would, you know, make classic Sonic fans say, wow, this is better than Sonic 3, even though it is so different. And I think it has so much more potential for 2D gameplay other than just copy-pasting Mania physics into a bunch of engines and, you know, hoping that people like it. Sorry, Sonic Superstars. I do like that game. I think a lot of the levels are better than Mania in a lot of ways, but the boss fights, man, it's like they created a good game, and then they're just like, let's add the most annoying ass bosses ever that are so antithetical to Sonic. You have to wait around to hit him. The whole point of the, Sonic bosses and why they were so fun in 2D Sonic, not so fun, probably the worst parts of those games, but still pretty fun, was due to, being able to hit it as much as you can within the window that they're vulnerable, getting multiple hits in, being as fast as possible. Sonic's about being fast. But I guess that they wanted to make it maybe multiplayer friendly. I think that was the reason. But it applying in single player for the bosses, having to wait a very significant amount of time to hit the boss after the last hit, like a whole phase and stuff. It doesn't suit 2D Sonic, and it really, really downgraded the game, or took away a lot of the replay value from that game for me. I do play Time Attack, but even the Time Attack menus are a little weird. I feel like in a lot of Sonic games, the Time Attack menus are kind of a little clunky for a mode where you were intended to, reset the level quite a bit. It's fine in the Generations games, but, Sonic Colors DS, which I've been playing recently, it's a tiny bit wonky. And then in Sonic Superstars, man, it is pretty awful, especially considering the loading times and just the menu interface in general is laggy. I don't really know what happened with that game. It runs so poorly in the menus and stuff. I don't know why. I guess it wasn't optimized well or something. I don't know. Sonic Superstars, it has all of the DNA of a great game. A game maybe even better than Mania, but man, they just drop the ball on so many little things that just add up, especially the bosses, and it gets to the point where it's just ridiculous. And also, speaking of not boosting, I've never seen that path, because usually I just take the Chaos Control route, or I, jump to the place where you need to go, because it's very clearly to the left after those trains. But without boosting, didn't really have the confidence to, get all the way over there. And hey, we got to see a new rail and a new camera angle. So see that, I mean, there is benefits to, I guess, playing games in different ways, kind of limiting yourself. Maybe you're so slow that you can go back here and be like, ooh, what's back here? And then it's nothing, so we move forward. Although I do think Shadow is kind of ridiculously slow for not using the boost. Like, bro, this is really the fastest he can go without boosting? Dude, I've played Sonic Adventure 2. Are your bones getting old, Shadow? Do you need boost power to do everything now, you fucking lazy fuck? Are your legs getting tired? He is using that boost as a crutch. Shadow, you're not the same as you were in your heyday, man. You've aged. It would be funny if that was the actual lore reason why the hedgehogs are kind of slower now and need to rely on boost to go fast instead of naturally going fast with their legs. It's like, oh, they're getting old. They need a little bit of a pick-me-up. It's like the Sonic version of a hearing aid, except for their feet. And I just realized that I've been playing with the Sky Troops music for this entire level. I'm so used to changing the music in these levels that I guess I didn't even notice. But I'll definitely notice when we get to Sunset Heights from Sonic Forces, because, man, that fucking opening is just... It is so clean. I cannot wait to get to it and show it to you guys, even though most of you guys have seen it. And oh my god, dude. Shadow, what are you doing? Move! You're so slow. This is the ultimate life form, really? Come on. This is ridiculous. You gotta rely on fucking boosters. What's this Dimps level design? Dude, using fucking old ass Sonic community insults. Dimps level design. Fucking Dark Age of Sonic. I have not heard Sonic fans refer to the late 2000s as the Dark Age of Sonic in a very long time. Probably because the real new Dark Age of Sonic was the last 10 years before Sonic Frontiers, where the only kind of good 3D Sonic game that didn't really play like most other Sonic games was Lost World. So essentially we got no traditional 3D Sonic for almost a decade, or actually over a decade, I think. That's good, and not Sonic Forces. So yeah, that's really the Dark Age, because there's nothing, literally nothing, darkness, completely nothing. I would rather have a million bad Sonic games than one bad one and one mediocre one over the decade. But with everything going on in the franchise now, we are far away from that situation, and I think we're probably going to get some sort of Sonic-related game every year. Hopefully a platformer every year. So far, we have been getting something every year ever since Frontiers. We have Frontiers in 2022, the DLC in 2023, as well as Sonic Superstars and Sonic Dream Team. 2023 was a pretty packed year for Sonic. And then, obviously, now we have Shadow Generations. So hopefully we get something cool platformer-wise as well in 2025. A lot of people are expecting a Sonic Heroes remake. I think that would be really cool, although there has been rumors recently that GameCube might come to NSO on Switch 2, which is releasing this year. So maybe they could add Sonic Heroes to GameCube NSO as well. That'd be cool, although if they're doing a remake, they probably wouldn't do that. And they haven't even added the Sonic Advance games on GBA NSO yet, and that has been around for a while. I really want them to do that, though, because the Sonic Advance games and the Sonic Rivals games are kind of the two main platformer Sonic game series that I have not played yet. So I would love to see Sonic be added on NSO more. It is kind of weird how little Sonic there is on NSO. I mean, there's a whole Genesis NSO service, and it has only had Sonic 2 for years and years and years, which I find strange, especially since Sega and Nintendo has had a good relationship since they went multi-platform. So I don't really know what's going on there. Sega really needs to step up with NSO support for Sonic, but maybe with the Switch 2 coming out, we could see some Sonic games on GameCube NSO, hopefully. Or, you know, more ideally, full remakes of some of these games, right? I know a lot of people are wanting a Sonic Heroes remake, and I think that is the smartest choice and the choice that I want the most, but there is still remakes that I would love to see from that era that isn't Sonic Heroes, even though Sonic Heroes is the most deserving of one, like Shadow the Hedgehog. I think that game has a lot of potential. I made a whole video about it. It is not the greatest game in the world, but there's a lot of good underneath, as is with most Sonic games, which is why I think Sonic games are probably the best candidates for remakes. Here, I'm pretty sure this is a place where I'm going to have to use the boost, unfortunately. But yeah, after that, I definitely have one boost point to take off my score for this challenge. Kind of like golf, the higher you get, the worse it is. So let's try to stick to one. But I have a feeling that we will have to use boost again. But we also had to use Chaos Control in Space Colony Arc Act 1. So actually, we have 2 points. But hopefully it will stay that way, although probably not, considering that we will need to use Chaos Control at the end of this boss fight, so yeah. But I think at the end of this playthrough, maybe we'll have 10 points, 6 points. There's not that many places where you have to Chaos Control and boost. One of my favorite things about the Generations games, obviously, is seeing a lot of these lower definition era Sonic games have their elements remade in HD, and I think the coolest example of this is probably the Biolizard. I mean, look at all those details on it. It looks gross, obviously, but it's so cool. Like, all the texture work on this lizard just looks badass. It looks awesome. So I'm super glad that we are able to see this fight remade in HD. Maybe this is biased for Sonic Adventure 2, but I don't think this boss fight is as good as the original, probably because it is so easy, which makes sense because this is the first boss of the game. I think they did do the best they could for, you know, where this boss fight is placed in the game. And there is a hard mode of this boss fight, so I guess we have that, but even that version is just not as iconically difficult as the boss fight in Sonic Adventure 2. Although, a lot of the difficulty from that fight does probably come from the jank, especially with the bubbles and everything. But it definitely does give a feeling of like, oh, this is so nerve-wracking and the stakes are so high. So it is a bit of a shame that that element is not here, but completely makes sense based on, you know, where this is in the game and the fact that, you know, they want to make the game kind of clean, easy, not super frustrating like most 3D Sonic games are. I don't think a boss fight that plays in the same janky way as the original Biolizard boss fight would have been a good idea. But I would have liked it, so they should have done it for me. The Biolizard's honestly just cute as fuck. I don't know why. He's just like a little guy, especially with all the new lore that was added in Shadow Generations with You know, how this was a little lizard and he was Maria's favorite pet and he grew up into the Biolizard with experiments and now he's getting all tortured and stuff. Kind of sad when you think about it, actually. But hey, he looked cute and kind of badass and kind of gross. He is the ultimate life form as far as I'm concerned. Shadow, I mean, he's honestly badass as well, probably better than Biolizard. But hey, his brother is almost just as ultimate with, you know, the feelings he inflicts. Horror, sympathy, cuteness. So complex for a little hedgehog game. I love it. This game's way better than the Sonic Generations, man. Just in terms of, not maybe the gameplay, because there's actually levels in Sonic Generations I like more than all of the levels in Shadow Generations individually. But the part of Sonic's history that this game represents is just so much more badass than a lot of the level themes in Sonic Generations. Maybe part of the reason I feel that way is because we have seen Green Hill Zone and Chemical Plant repeated in so many Sonic games and even Sky Sanctuary in Sonic Frontiers that I kind of don't feel as hype playing those levels in Sonic Generations now. And the fact that Sonic Generations is Planet Wisp and a couple other levels, I feel like Shadow Generations doesn't really have any bad levels, whereas Sonic Generations has lower lows but higher highs. So that and my bias towards the level themes and the games that this Generations project represents is why I like Shadow Generations more. But they are kind of two fundamentally different gameplay styles, so it's hard to compare super directly. Although they are similar enough to compare, they're just not one-to-one, to the point where I don't even consider it the same gameplay style fully. Yes, there's boost, yes, there's quick step, yes, there's stomp, but it honestly feels like its own entirely different thing with how the level design is and how the speed is and how you know, everything is designed, and that has kind of been the case since, you know, even Sonic Forces, and especially the cyberspace and Sonic Frontiers. They took away a lot of the speed, added a bit more control, well, not in Sonic Forces case. I'm mostly talking about Sonic Frontiers here and Shadow Generations, and kind of created their own new style out of it. So I don't think that Shadow Generations like replaces Sonic Generations, like, oh, don't even bother with Sonic Generations, just play Shadow Generations, because they are two fundamentally different game styles, even though there is a ton of similarities between modern Sonic and Shadow. So when I say that I like Shadow Generations more, it doesn't mean that I like it more in every single way, as there is a lot to like in modern Sonic gameplay from Generations that just isn't present in this new gameplay style. Like, for example, going at ludicrous boost speeds. This is something that was done very, very well in Sonic Unleashed, which obviously I've been replaying recently due to the new recompilation that came out. And man, just the adrenaline boost you get from just pressing the X button in that game, it's just crazy, man. I absolutely love it, especially with the voice lines that they give Sonic, like, "Here we go! Feeling good!" It just adds so much to the daytime stages, and just the speed is so fun and exhilarating to try to manage. So if I were to get kind of my ideal playing Sonic game, I think it would be like Shadow Generations, but there would be a lot more emphasis on speed. The levels would have a lot more moments that are kind of Sonic Unleashed and Sonic Generations-esque in nature, and with the boost being faster and stuff like that. Or maybe they could do what they did in this game and make a kind of third act for that gameplay style. So in a future Sonic game, maybe there'll be a level that has 2D gameplay, that has 3D gameplay like this, and then has boost gameplay in an Act 3. I think that would be really cool, and is kind of what we have in this compilation with Sonic and Shadow Generations, because Sonic Generations is in this package. You can't play Shadow Generations without owning Sonic Generations through the collection that it came out via. So to be honest, we kind of already have that game, and that's why I like this bundle of Sonic X Shadow Generations so much, because it does have almost all of the gameplay styles represented. Yeah, we don't have an exact version of the adventure gameplay, but this is pretty close in most of the ways that matter with Shadow Generations. And honestly, picking Shadow as the character for this more adventure-esque game style is perfect for a number of reasons. Number one, Shadow was most prominent in that era. It matches with the character historically, and lore-wise it also matches because Shadow is canonically not really as fast as Sonic. It does make sense that he would have a more slow gameplay style, while obviously still being faster than most fictional characters. The more differences between Shadow and Sonic, the better, you know, to make him not feel like a clone, like, you know, Dark Link, for example, right? And I think they've done a good job with that, especially, you know, in this game, where they add stuff like Chaos Control and Chaos Spear and elements that help add some more puzzly resource management to this gameplay style instead of, you know, quick reaction time, which both have their, you know, fun moments. But yeah, I just like the variety, especially for a package like Sonic X Shadow Generations, which is already going to have Sonic Generations packed in. You know, it would kind of be a little lame if Shadow just played the exact same as Modern Sonic from Sonic Generations. It'd still be a great game, but it would feel maybe a bit repetitive. So I am glad the way they did this. It's something that's honestly kind of a dream come true, because this idea of having Shadow as a third playable adventure gameplay style in Generations is something that I've actually wanted and thought about since Sonic Generations came out, hence the reason why I played a lot of Sonic Generations without the boost to see if I could kind of emulate that adventure style. And let me tell you, doing that challenge in the remake for Sonic Generations is actually even more cool because we have the drop dash now and the Sonic Adventure skin. So maybe if you guys really like this video, I could also do a boostless playthrough of Sonic Generations. Also, another cool thing about this level, if we stomp right here, we can skip a bunch, and if we skip these platforms, there's another skip all the way over here, which is something that you might not notice if you're just blasting through. I actually first found out about it because of a speed run. It's actually so crazy, the multiple pathways that are put into these Generations games, because I will like literally play a level over and over again for hours and try to grind out the best run ever, only for me to watch like a GDQ or something, and then there's like a pathway that I completely missed that could shave off like a couple seconds. And it's not just like a glitch or a weird tactic that people use for speedrunning that's not really intended, but it's shortcuts like the one I just showed you where they're programmed in the game, they're intentional, but they're really hard to find. So I just appreciate how much little details they put into the different pathways in Shadow Generations and even Sonic Generations. There was a video I saw on Twitter of Speed Highway, which, by the way, Speed Highway Act 1 in Sonic Generations is probably the best Sonic level of all time, and I know most of its pathways, but there was a clip where someone like used one of the rockets in the level twice to get to a new path, and I thought that was just like so cool. One Sonic YouTuber, Unleash, actually quote tweeted and was like, ha, I can't believe people like Shadow Generations more than Sonic Generations when Sonic Generations has shit like this. But honestly, I do think there's a lot of stuff like that in Shadow Generations. Yeah, it's not going to be like catching up to a flying rocket and jumping on it again because Shadow is slow as hell, even with the boost, as you can tell with this boostless gameplay. But there are a lot of secrets that utilize his abilities, like with Chaos Control, or even something that isn't catered to his abilities, like that shortcut I showed you in Act 2 of Kingdom Valley. And we have shortcuts like this, which are a bit more obvious than the, you know, rocket shortcut that I just showed you from Sonic Generations, but it's still pretty clever, and it's probably not something you'll find out right away. I know a lot of Sonic YouTubers who played this game for the first time got really stoked at that shortcut, as did I, so they exist for sure in this game. There might even be some that we haven't discovered yet, who knows, although I doubt it, because it's a Sonic community. We like comb these games autistically, like down to the code, to the point of being able to recompile and re-release Sonic Unleashed. Sonic Unleashed recompiled for PC is amazing, and if you guys haven't played it, you should, and you should mod it to take away the metal requirements, because that is by far the worst part of Sonic Unleashed. Or not, I'm not your mom. You can do whatever you want. Probably my least favorite part of this game, though, is this section in Sunset Heights. Not because I don't like it, but because it takes up majority of the level, And it isn't Sunset Heights, and I love the aesthetic of Sonic Forces in Sunset Heights. The music, everything about Sonic Forces other than gameplay and story, which is, you know, a pretty big part, but vibe-wise and music-wise, Sonic Forces is probably one of the best Sonic games in, I guess, that regard. So it's a shame that we don't get that combined with good gameplay that much. Only 2 minutes of it. I'm grateful for it, what we got, but man, I've had enough of Radical Highway, dude. Sonic Adventure 2 is my favorite Sonic game. It's literally the URL of this channel. But even I have a limit. Like, is this gonna be the next Green Hill Zone? Come on. Yeah, I want to play Sunset Heights to play Sunset Heights, not Sunset Heights for 2 minutes and Radical Highway for like 3 to 4. Also, this part I've always found weird, because when you're boosting, you can't dodge anything. I guess maybe you're meant to stop boosting, but then you're doing the level slower. So I don't know. That's always kind of been a weird part of the level to me, because there's no safe way of getting through it with boosting. I guess unless you do some crazy jumps over everything or whatever. I'm sure there's a way to get past it with boosting and not taking damage, but for the casual player, you're probably going to take damage every time you go through that section, which is kind of odd. But hey, the level has great music, so it's not the worst thing in the world. And not to mention that Act 2 of this level is probably the best level in this game. I love this level. I love speedrunning this level. I might even be able to show you guys some of the tricks I use for speedrunning this level, even without using the boost. Although, it might be a bit tough because the boost is designed to make you go faster, and speedrunning is all about, you know, going fast. So I'm probably going to play this at a pretty casual pace, but yeah, right here you could boost backwards and get there early, but I can't boost right now. So yeah, I guess I will just Chaos Spear on whenever I need to do it, because I don't really think you can get past this level without using Chaos Spear on those little platforms. Or maybe I'm just too used to doing it. I accidentally did it and I'm looking for an excuse to continue playing the level and not resetting, because I feel like getting past that part without Chaos Spears is probably going to be impossible. Maybe I should have tried, but whatever. I guess we'll just add it to the score. Fuck it. Wouldn't be the first time I did a challenge and then broke a rule when I didn't technically need to. Because in the Pikmin 4 video, I said you needed purples to beat the game, to beat the water wraiths on some of the final floors, but you actually don't need purples. You can freeze them and then attack them with normal Pikmin, or throw bombs at them or whatever. So yeah. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Well, at least it's still beatable without boosting. Goddamn. Now, this is part of the level I've always hated, because I don't really know exactly how to consistently get up to this top path while being fast, because I always get there before the bees are ready to homing attack. So yeah, that part of the level is kind of clunky. And then also, like, sometimes you go left on the water when you want to go right. That's probably like my biggest reset point in this level. But luckily, since we're not boosting, I was able to do it pretty simply. I was able to do it pretty well. Let's wait for these. If you get hit by those, you go to the lower path. I want to be on the top path because I like it more. I'm actually surprised at how fast Shadow is in 2D without boosting. I feel like it's almost the same speed, like that the boost only kind of increases the speed in 2D by 25% or 30%, but I don't know, that might not be the case. But I feel like he's a lot more slower not boosting in 3D than in 2D, which is interesting. I love the music in this level too. Another reason why this is one of my favorite levels beyond the music and it all being Sunset Heights instead of Radical Highway is that a lot of Sonic Forces actually was in 2D, so it does feel like a good Sonic Forces level, which is what I kind of wanted to feel out of this remake stage. So it's pretty epic! I never knew why they made those trees blocky, though, in Sonic Forces. Like, it doesn't really make sense. Sonic's never had a blocky aesthetic before, so maybe it's just a carryover from Lost World. They were too lazy to change, like, the Lost Hex trees, because I think those were pretty polygonal because lost hex, hexagon, you know, so. But putting them in Sonic Forces was weird. But putting a lot of things in Sonic Forces was weird. Sonic Forces, to me, kind of feels like an AI-generated Sonic game, in the sense that it's just like, here's a bunch of random Sonic elements that Sonic fans kind of like in their own individual context. Let's just mix them all together and see what happens. Let's just add the Egg Dragoon from Sonic Unleashed into Green Hill Zone, mixed with, like, the fucking first boss from Sonic 1. Like, that is so bizarre, but they did it. They did it. They mixed Green Hill Zone with, like, fucking, with a war story of Eggman taking over the world, and added classic Sonic out of nowhere, and you can make these weird avatars that look super surreal and weird. There's Silver there for whatever reason. Why aren't you in your own timeline, dude? Like, I don't know. The whole Sonic Forces just seems like a kid's scrapbook collage of their favorite Sonic characters and levels, and then they just put it in a game or something like that. It doesn't make for a very fun game, especially when it came out, but looking back at Sonic Forces and what they tried to do, it is kind of fascinating how much they fucked up and how weird the game is in terms of, like, why did they do this? Why did they make a Sonic Generations that's worse in every way and just add a bunch of random old recycled elements? It's just so bizarre. It is so strange in every way, and that's kind of why I like the game, honestly, in some sort of weird way. Kind of like how people like Sonic 06 despite it being broken. Although my like for Sonic Forces is very different than my like for Sonic 06 or anybody else's like for Sonic 06 due to its kind of like bugginess and unpolished nature, because Sonic 06 actually had ambition, and Sonic Forces was just a bunch of recycled random stuff that we already seen done better in other games. I feel like the only thing that was really like, wow, I wish Sonic Forces was good so I could kind of experience this element in a more polished way was Infinite. Because Infinite's boss fights were boring, his story was boring, but his design and look and voice acting and everything is just pretty cool and missed potential in my opinion. So I do hope they bring Infinite back in some way. I don't know why they're bringing Zavok of the Deadly Six and Lost World back a million times. Meanwhile, Infinite gets nothing or very little. It's just little bizarre to me. Again, lots of bizarre things going on around Sonic Forces, including the Sonic Forces level in this game where, bizarrely, majority of the level is Radical Highway and not actually Sunset Heights, but at least we got some Sunset Heights, so not complaining, especially with that Act 2. Like, oh my god, that was a great level. Speaking of great levels, this one I'm playing right now, Chaos Island, was actually my favorite level when I first played the game. Just because of the Doom-morph and just the aesthetic of Chaos Island, and even the music. It's not typically Sonic, and I know a lot of people had an issue with it when it came out, and I kind of did too, but it's honestly warmed on me. I love the funkiness and weirdness of it. I don't know. Maybe the part of me that likes this track is also the same part of me that likes Sonic Forces for its weirdness. Who knows? And I just realized that I forgot to do the Metal Sonic boss fight, so why don't we do that right now? Although I don't think you boost at all in this boss fight, so actually, it would kind of be repetitive to play it, so I'm gonna skip it, actually. Or maybe I should just play it for the Sonic Heroes fans. Or maybe just for me. This music is badass. I love this song. I don't need a reason. And over time, and one by one and not to come. I don't know the lyrics, but I know the vibe. It's me, you say, I'm looking for. If you show me who I am and what I'm here for. Here for. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Come on, reach inside of me, do-do-do-do. Gotta get my energy, bam, bam. Let me show y'all just what I'm made of. Gotta get them corn. Gotta be a southerner. Get my little inside. I don't even know what I'm singing anymore. Maybe I shouldn't have played this level. Hopefully there's no Southerners in the comments that are like, that's racist! Which, technically it is. I mean, I know white people are the privileged race, but you can legitimately be kind of disrespectful of Southern culture, Southern American culture. I literally just did it. So, yeah. But hey, free speech. Let's make fun of every race. Fuck it, dude. That's how we get true equality. Dude, the sidestep in 2D for Doom Morph is like really weird. Like, if you basically Doom Surf backwards in the section while holding forward, it's basically kind of like spinning in place, which is interesting, but not exactly how you would expect it to work. A lot of things in 3D Sonic games just don't work the way you expect them to, and I think that's probably another reason why a lot of casual audiences have trouble getting into 3D Sonic games, because just the physics, Sonic kind of has its own rules when it comes to physics and mechanics that you kind of gotta relearn, and it's not the most ideal. So, yeah. Oh, I can't Chaos Spear. I can't throw this back at him. What will happen if I don't Chaos Spear? Gives me so much time to. Oh, shit! What the fuck? You just threw an entire fucking goddamn ship on me and I'm still alive? I still have 8 rings? How? That's insane. Maybe Shadow is the ultimate life form. I apologize for what I said to you in comparison to your power levels with Sonic earlier. Goddamn. What the fuck? Anyway, time for the worst level in the game. Chaos Island Act 2. Not because it's a bad level necessarily, it's just because it's really short. And there's not much, I guess, in that short time frame, which kind of makes it a bad level, kind of, but at least I left on Sonic Frontiers battle music that I forgot to turn off, or Titan music, which is a plus, because it's actually probably better than the 2D track for this level, but yeah, there's just not really too much going on this level, especially with the Doom Morph. It's a little disappointing. I think this level probably was like the last one made, or the quickest one made. Chaos Island in general kind of feels like a bit of a throwaway level. Maybe because it is just like the only level within the era. It kind of is representing, if we're going by how the game is structured in Sonic Generations, there's usually like a boss fight in between every kind of major era that's representing. And there's 3 levels in between. In Shadow Generations, there was 2 levels in between, all the way up until this one, which is just Chaos Island. So it really does feel like they kind of ran out of time, and this was the last level they made with the time that they had. Could be wrong. Maybe I am, because, you know, they made a whole Doom Morph ability for these 2 stages, but man, does this level feel like an afterthought. Like, look at how I'm going through the level with Doom Morph. Like, obviously it'd be a little bit more fun if I were boosting, because I would get those you know, speed boosts, but it's generally the same thing. You're just kind of holding forward and pressing X a little bit. It's not very involved. And then when it does get involved, it's a gondola like this, which honestly, that section isn't too bad, because you can just not use the gondola if you want, or what have you. I actually kind of like that section, but it's like the one good gondola section in all of Sonic. Getting fucking flashbacks to those levels in Sonic Colors that are just objectively not good in the slightest. Let's see if I can just skip this one. Nope, needed a boost. I don't wanna fucking... Dude, and even look at the background, dude. Imagine going through a level like that with all the lava down there and the fucking platforms within the glow of the lava. Like, I just want to go back there. I don't want to play the rest of this 2D level. What the hell? I do like this little segment at the end, though, that references the structures in Chaos Island. Chaos Island was definitely the best choice for a Sonic Frontiers level to be remade in a Generation style. And I'm so glad they did it, even though this level does feel like filler. Act 1 is great, and I don't know, having an open world turned into a linear Sonic level is just so cool. So we love to see it, just like how we love to see the return of Mephiles. Oh my god, dude, my favorite Sonic character. He is Shadow. He's literally dark Sonic. Shadow is Dark Sonic, and Mephiles is the dark version of Shadow. It's repetitive, but it's cool, and I love it. And I want him to come back in more games, but unfortunately, based on, I guess, what we got in this, it seems like he probably won't be coming back because Shadow just yeeted him from existence. Or I guess is about to in the case of this gameplay. But look at his textures, man. Again, such a great visual upgrade from Sonic 06 in the same way that Biolizard was a great upgrade from Sonic Adventure 2 visually. Seeing all those different kind of textures that aren't fur. He's trying to replicate fur, the fur that Shadow has, but it just ends up being scaly because he's this demonic monster in reality. It's just awesome, man. I love Mephiles so much. And the music, man, never fails to disappoint. Do-do-do-do, do-do-do. I guess I'm gonna have to boost here, huh? Damn. That's gonna add a lot to my boost meter, my boost points. Oh well. Do-do-do-do, do-do. Do-do-do-do. Maybe I shouldn't have done this at all if it was gonna take out my boost points and it's gonna make Mephiles not exist anymore. My favorite character. Maybe I should just exit out. Nah. What the heck? I never tapped X on that boss fight, and I remember a YouTube video telling me that I could for extra damage, but I didn't know I had to fucking press Y. That's a button I don't like. I'm allergic to that button. And also, he literally just hit me with the blade that killed Sonic, yet I'm still alive. I guess another one for Shadow. God damn, maybe he is more powerful than Sonic. Fuck. I guess we could debate in the comment section. Who do you think is more powerful, Sonic or Shadow, lore-wise? Like, obviously, maybe in offensive capabilities, Shadow's a little bit more powerful because of Chaos Control, but speed-wise, Sonic has to be the winner, right? There's no way Shadow's faster than Sonic. That's ludicrous. That would ruin my whole life view. Damn, this boss fight's a lot longer and a tad more difficult without using Chaos Control. Like an actual boss fight. Holy shit. Because, dude, honestly, this boss fight's way too easy, especially for how late in the game it is. I want you to exist too, but, Shadow's kind of mad that you copied his style, man. Kind of mad that, copied his whole groove, so, can't blame him for wanting you to be gone forever. There can only be one Shadow, after all. And it's definitely not going to be Lizard Freak over there. Alright, last two levels. Radical Highway Act 1 and 2. I was so disappointed when I found out this was the final level. We already had so much Radical Highway from the previous stages. We didn't have a stage from Shadow the Hedgehog, which was pretty disappointing for me because I spammed the hell out of that game in anticipation for the release of this game. And we did get Black Doom, which was awesome, but in terms of levels, we got nothing from Shadow the Hedgehog. And we just got 2 from Sonic Adventure 2 instead, which would be fine if they didn't already put the Sonic Adventure 2 level in a myriad of other levels with the Black Doom mode. And I kind of didn't like that you couldn't use Chaos Control in this level, but this level did grow on me once I played it more and more. The level design is amazing in this level. Also, I love how I passed by them at the slowest speed possible and they didn't even get one shot off. Hello, hello. I'm the ultimate life form, by the way. Ooh. These guys, dude, these guys are stupid as hell. Wow. What was the point of putting those robots there? I mean, from a lore perspective, gameplay-wise, obviously, I know why. Because it's epic to kill them. But another thing I don't like about this level, like, theme-wise, the gameplay is great, but theme-wise, other than it being Radical Highway again when we already had so much Radical Highway in this game, is that in this first level that is supposed to kind of represent a more traditional Radical Highway that isn't as warped by Black Doom, like in the other segments or the upcoming Act 2, it still doesn't have that exact same vibe from the original, especially with all the buildings tilted and it still being kind of a little bit warped. Overall, it's still a great level. I just am a little disappointed in the aesthetical choices that were made here. I do like this section a lot, though. It's a section that wouldn't work in the Sonic Generations boost gameplay that we got, but for this gameplay, it works really great, and I think this little area highlights the benefits of having a slower paced boost style kind of Sonic game. Although I would prefer for it to kind of be a mixture, as I said, between, you know, Sonic Unleashed and this. Maybe there are sections where it's just, you know, useful to not boost. You'd maybe actually have to think about when you use your boost again, kind of like in Sonic Colors, or even a bit of this game with the ring management. If you're trying to like speedrun or do certain shortcuts, you can really, you know, manage the boost meter with Chaos Control and rings in a particular way sometimes. But just more of that, you know, could add to the more slow-paced gameplay that you could, you know, utilize in a platformer, while also having those moments where you are boosting and quick stepping and fast reacting like in Sonic Unleashed. I think both can coexist, again, especially if they do it in the way that they split 2D and 3D in this game, where it's just two separate levels with gameplay styles that don't intersect. But I also think that there could be, you know, instead of switching between 2D and 3D in the boost games, it could be a switch between, you know, slower paced 3D platforming versus more race car style boosting level design, and swapping between that instead of 2D and 3D. Or, as I said, again, they could have it separate. Regardless, I'm pretty excited to see what they're going to do next. And now that they have established pretty definitively this new boost-esque gameplay style with Shadow Generations, and with the success of it, they'll hopefully continue it. Jeez, man. Some places where you don't boost, like the cinematic places where you're meant to boost, is just so painfully slow without the boost, and looks kind of funny. I definitely don't think Shadow Generations without the boost is as fun or interesting as Sonic Generations without the boost, but hey, it's not meant to be played this way, so I can't complain too much. Anyway, time for the final stage, which is one of my favorites, but without the boost, might not be. We'll see. I'll still try to do as many shortcuts as I can without the boost, like this one over here. Bam. Jeez, man. Can you move any goddamn faster? Well, he can, but I don't want it. Boost is not good for you. Don't do boost, kids. It's a very addictive substance. Sonic has been hooked on it since 2005, and especially 2008. That's when he got, like, addict level. Been like that ever since. Even passing on his obsession to Shadow, when he forced it upon him in Sonic Forces. Dude, the music in this act is so awesome. It might be one of the best tracks in the game. Very underrated. I don't hear many people talk about it, but I don't know. Just the weird sounds. I guess it kind of has a similar vibe to Chaos Island, which is a very, very divisive Sonic music track. But I don't know if this one's very divisive. I haven't heard many people talk about it. So, also, I just noticed, is there like an alien, like embedded Han Solo style into that creature? That's kind of fucked up. Or is that actually his head, and he just has like a big head-like thing? He just has two heads. I don't know. Maybe just, yeah. Or three if this guy counts as a separate one and he was inside him. No! What the? Dude. I don't even know if it's possible to get over that platform while moving so slow. Well, probably. We'll get back to it and see. Alright, it's time. Let's see if we can launch like as far as we can forward, so, and maybe time it with the oh! I didn't know there was a limit on that. I was literally just about to press X2 and it fucking disabled. That's a shame. Well, I guess we can go this way too. Yeah, that was a lot easier than I thought. Yeah, there we go. Easy peasy. Yeah, this part isn't too hard without boosting. You just gotta really jump on the platform at the right time. Oh, man, can I jump over? Dude, usually stuff like that in Sonic games are intangible. I'm surprised they put physics on those building cube things. Now I have to murder another innocent Black Doom creature. Wow. Shadow's vegan. This is fucked up. I love this segment too. It's just so iconic. The fucking two buildings. I don't know. I'm very easy to please, I suppose. Just get a concrete building, fold it like a craft project, and me like it. Oh! Yeah, that was actually difficult. I mean, I did die on it. Oh, speaking of dying. I don't even think that was a non-boost thing. That was just a stupidity thing. Ugh! Dude, I feel like that should have hit me with how the hitbox looked, but I don't know. Just so when you go upside down, the controls get inverted, so it's a little difficult, which is the point, I suppose. I'm supposed to be a pro Sonic gamer. My URL is literally Sonic Adventure 2. And I can't even get past the fucking... I suck. At least there's a checkpoint right there. I remember watching the review of Shadow Generations by BakuriBox12, and he said that like these homing attack enemies were kind of pointless, but man, without boosting, they're pretty helpful. Not gonna lie. Or maybe they're not as helpful. I don't know. I just gotta pay attention to the rotation of the platforms. Come on, it's so hard to like survive one rotation just because of those side guards or whatever they are. Oh! What the heck? Why is this so hard? It doesn't feel like it should be. Yeah, there. I just did. What? Then why was that so hard? That was easy that time. I'm just dumb, I guess. Dude, epic shortcut. Watch this. Wow. Brilliant. Like the most fucking simple shortcut ever. I bet like most people did that than even going through the loop. Oh no, more of these. I actually have to pay attention to the timing of it. Get to the thing! Oh, oh, oh! There we go. Wasn't worried at all. Oh no. I can't choose when I drop on these. Don't die, please. Oh! Please! Come here, come here, come here. Yes! We did it! We basically beat the game. Because, I don't really think you need a boost in the final boss. Or maybe, I think you actually do. I'll just do it anyway and see what happens. D rank, wow. Only 3 minutes off of C. Not the worst. Literally the worst rank. Don't pay attention to that. The lowest is actually E, guys. You just never have been bad enough at the game to see it. I don't think it's possible to beat this boss without the boost, and I'm tired of talking, to be frank. I've been talking for almost 2 hours straight playing this, so thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I look forward to seeing you in another video.